Hello children, you're welcome to the mathematics segment of the program, The Classroom in Your Home. Hi, I'm Uncle Agbaje. It is mathematics time, and that means it is time to have some fun. Today in mathematics, we will continue our work on statistics. Specifically, we will be looking at bar graphs. But before that, we would have to check out the correction to our previous homework. Now, we are asked to study the pictogram and answer the questions from it. Now, remember that I said that before working with any pictogram, you have to look for the key. Now, the key to this pictogram is right here. It says one symbol represents 10 trees. Knowing that key and having that key, we will be able to answer any question. So let's go. Which fruit has the most trees in the garden? This has to be it. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Obviously, it has 5 symbols. This has 3, this has 4, and this has 2. So it is the guava tree that has the most, this guava fruit rather, that has the most trees in the garden. Question number 2 says, how many more peach trees are there than apple trees? So we've got to count. Peach trees are 10, 20, 30, 40. Apple trees are 10, 20, 30. So 40 minus 30 is 10. So there are 10 more peach trees than apple trees. Finally, how many trees are in the garden altogether? We've got to count. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140. There are 140 trees in the garden altogether. It must be a very big garden. Now, I'm sure you got all this because it's quite easy. And for that, you deserve a chair. So we'll move right into bar graphs. What exactly are bar graphs? I want you to take a moment and study this diagram. You see that they are made up of a particular type of shape. What shape would that be? It's a rectangle. That is exactly what bar graphs are. Bar graphs are used to show information using rectangles. Now, the amount of data, the quantity of data will now determine the length of the triangle. The more or the larger the data, the longer the triangle. So the triangle you will use to represent a number like 5 will be shorter than the triangle you will, rectangle rather, that you will use to represent a number like 15. So bar graphs can be vertical like this, that is from top to bottom, or it can be horizontal from left to right, as you will see in the course of the lesson. And let's take a look at some example, because our motive is to be able to represent information in a way that is clear for everybody to understand. Remember that set of balls from yesterday? We were able to represent it using the tally diagram. Now we're going to try and represent it using a bar graph. So we'll go again. First, we construct a frequency table. Remember that frequency is the same as count. So that means that there are 11 green balls, 9 red balls, 16 blue balls, and 14 yellow balls. So if you've got to do this, if you have some set of data you have to represent, you need to count and construct a frequency or a count table. The next thing to do is a critical step, and that is that you draw a scale. And what is a scale? It's a vertical line and an horizontal line. Now, the data you want to represent has to be on one of the lines. For example, we want to represent the color of balls. So I decide to put that along the horizontal line. Now, how many balls will now be on the vertical line? If I decide to put my data on the vertical line, then how many balls will be on the horizontal line? But for today, I'm choosing to put my data on the horizontal line. So now you determine a scale. A scale will be the graduation or the numbers that you're going to put on the side. You can decide to go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It makes it easy to identify your data. For this diagram, I have decided to use 5, 10, 15, 20. You can also decide to use 10, 20, 30, 40, depending on the number of items that you have. You have free to choose that one, my friend. But for now, we're using 5, 10, 15, 20. What is the next thing that we're going to do? Now we're going to draw bars. Look at the bars come up. See, green is stopping just after 10. It should be 11. Now you see that there are 11 green balls. There are 9 red balls, so the bar will not be up to 10. It will just stop before 10. So look at the red bar. Can you see that it has not gotten to 10? It will stop at 9. Because if we have to write 1, 2, 3, then 9 will be somewhere here. Look at the blue bar. That goes just after 15, and that means that there are 16 blue balls. Now look at the yellow bar. The yellow bar stops just before 15, and that means that there are 14 yellow balls. So my friend, you see that it is very easy. All you have to know is the frequency or the count of the balls or whatever it is you are counting. Draw a scale and draw a rectangle that is going to be on the same line as the number of frequency or the count. So if it is 18, for instance, then the bar has to go somewhere around here, because if we have 1, 2, 3 to 20, 18 will stop here. Bar graphs are quite easy to construct. Now let's look at answering some questions using bar graph. This is a bar graph. It represents the amount that is spent by some pupils on lunch. Let us study this bar graph. Let's just zoom in and see what information we can get from it. So we see it's quite big, and I believe that you can see at home. So we are seeing some children here. We have Pam, Ahmed, John, Bola, Ken, and Unda. There are 6 pupils, and these bars is now representing the amount of money that each of them spends. Now let's go back to that previous thing and see what the questions are saying. What are we supposed to answer from this? First question says, whose lunch costs the most? So let's zoom in on the bar and say, let's zoom in on this bar. We see that the person with the tallest bar is Bola. So Bola is is the person that has spent the most on our lunch. We can zoom out now and we'll move on. Bola is that person. Let's see the next question. Whose lunch cost the least? I mean, who spent the least amount on lunch? Now all you have to do is just check out the bars, and you see that the smallest bar is on top of Ken. And how much has Ken spent? Exactly, he has spent 40 naira. So Ken is having the smallest bar, and that means he has spent the least amount. You can see now that it is very easy to answer questions from bar graphs. Let's see the next question. Who has spent less than 60 naira? Now, looking at the bar, this is where 60 naira is. Now, you have to look for bars that are shorter than 60. And the first one is higher than 60. Second one is higher than 60. Okay, so this third one is less than 60. And that means that John has spent less than 60. But is he the only one? Let's move on. Bola has spent more than 60 because the bar is taller than 60. Oh, Ken has also spent less than 60. He has spent 40 naira. So now John and Ken have spent less than 60. What about Unda? Unda is exactly on top of 60, which means Unda has spent exactly 60 naira. But what exactly did the question say? The question says, who spent less than 60? And so the answer to that is John and Ken. Unda has not spent less than 60. Unda has spent exactly 60 naira. The next question says, how many children spent more than 60 naira? So we've got to count how many bars are taller than 60 naira. So this is 60 naira. This is 60 naira right here. This bar is taller than that, so that's one person. This one is also taller, that's 2 persons. This one is not taller. This one is taller, that's 3. This one is not taller. And this one is exactly 60. It's not taller and it's not less. It's not higher, rather, and it's not less than 60. It's just exactly on 60. So let's see what the question is saying. The question says, how many children spent more than 60? So we will not take this and that spent exactly 16 naira. So we only took those who have spent more, and that is Pam, Ahmed, and Bola. You begin to see that answering questions from bar graph is actually a breeze. It is very easy. Now, last question. How many spent less than 50 naira? How many spent less than 50 naira? So we have to look for where 50 is. 50 will be between 40 and 60. That should be here. How many are spent less than that? You trace it, and you discover that only Ken has spent less than 50 naira. And look at how I did that again. 50 is not on the graph, but it is between 40 and 60, and this is the middle point. So you have to look for a bar that is less than that, and that bar belongs to Ken. So Ken is the only one whose lunch money is less than 50 naira. So now I want you to take this. You have 1 minute. You are to calculate how much these children have spent all together. You have to calculate how much each has spent all together. You might want to check out what Pam has spent, Hamed has spent, until you get everything, and then find the total sum all together. I will zoom in on the slide for you so that you can see. You have 1 minute. Begin. Alrighty then. I believe that you found that very, very easy. Now we're going to just take a look at how it's done. How much did they spend all together? Well, Pam spent 18 naira, obviously. Ahmed spent 17 naira. John spent 50 naira. Bola spent 90 naira, because that's between 80 and 100. Ken spent 40 naira, and Unda spent 60 naira. So we're just going to add all of these up, and I'll do that on the next screen. And you see, my friend, Pam spent 80, Ahmed spent 70, John spent 50, Bola spent 90, Ken spent 40 naira, and Nda spent 60 naira. And when you had this, I believe you got 390, my friend. If you did, then I thumb praise you, and you deserve a big cheer. Now, so the homework for the day. Very easy to do. All you have to do is plot a bar graph. Darasimi took the online review test for his favorite TV show, The Classroom in Your Home. Now he had the following scores: mathematics, English, and general studies. Mathematics is scored 16. English language is scored 18. General studies is scored 14. You are to represent Darasimi's score using a bar graph. So you just draw the horizontal and the vertical and put your subjects on the horizontal bar, put your numbers, and let's have your bars, and we'll review that. Now I believe you've copied your assignments. Now we're not done for the day, because today is Tuesday, and you know that we have Magic Tuesday. What does Uncle Agbaje have for us on this lovely Tuesday? Well, let's see. As usual, it's another piece of magic. I asked somebody to multiply 120 by 400. And he looks at me and says, Uncle Agbaje, I'm just a little boy. This number is too big for me. Well, that number shouldn't be too big for you. And you shouldn't look like this guy who's obviously bewildered and confused and wondering, why me? Because multiplying 120 by 400 is actually very, very easy. Just follow me. Now, what you do is that you take the significant digits for each number. And what do I mean by significant digits? The numbers that are not 0. Here I have just 1 and 2, and here I have just 4. So you bring them down and you multiply them. 12 times 4, you know, is 48. So what are we going to do? Of course, I'm going to take 48 up there. But is that the answer? No. The final thing that I'm going to do is that, you see all the zeros that are here, I'm going to take them to the other side. 1 0 here, 2 0 here. And I put all the 3 zeros on the other side, and my final answer is 48,000. Very, very easy. Let's have a look at another one of the same type. Now, I asked Steve Harvey to multiply 60 by 3,000, and guess what he does? He gives me this expression. Now, you shouldn't have that expression on your face, because you know that all you have to do is bring down the significant digits. In this case, 6 is the significant digit here, and 3 is the significant digit here. And do not forget that the significant digits are the digits that are not 0. So now we'll multiply 6 by 3, and you know that that gives us 18. So we just away Steve Harvey and put 18 over there. But that is not the final step. You know that all you have to do now is just bring all the zeros and take them to the other side, and you are good to go. The final answer, my friend, is 180,000. So next time you are faced with multiplication of numbers that have a lot of 0, you know that all you have to do is just take the significant digits and multiply. Easy peasy for you, my friend. Now, we have come to the end of the mathematics lesson. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I will now hand you over to Uncle Popo for the general studies lesson. Till I come your way next time, remain wonderful mathemagicians.